What is one surefire way to utterly immerse yourself in an activity and feel one of the deepest sense of accomplishment? It's been referred to by artists as the muse, musicians the groove, athletes the zone. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to refer to it as the all-inclusive psychologist definition: flow. So what do I mean by flow? One of the basketball greats of our time, Kobe Bryant, was known for his incredible ability to remain in the zone. His description of it was,
you just have supreme confidence. You become oblivious to everything that's going on, you know?
You have supreme confidence. You don't focus on what's going on. Everything is one noise, and you don't let anything break that rhythm. That's one way of looking at it from the eyes of an elite athlete. Is it only exclusive to the elite athletes? Oh no. How about the once leading researcher in the field of flow psychology? I may butcher his name, but Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. He told us flow is the mental state of operation which a person performing an activity fully immersed in a feeling of energized focus, full involvement and enjoyment in the process of the activity. This means we can experience flow when we are fully engaged in our activities. It can be work, it can be hobbies, it can be relationships. Sometimes I like to end my workouts with a run, or I'll go on the treadmill, and I believe I experience this flow. My friend has told me before it's described as a runner's high, and it's this incredibly euphoric feeling all over your senses when you're running. You don't just start running and it happens. You have to kind of get into it. I'm talking like 10 minutes into it, you start feeling this euphoria. Feels like the rhythm of my stride and round is just connected. Feels like I can go on forever. This is one way that I experience flow. So Csikszentmihalyi's further studies suggest that going from normal work and slipping into flow is not very likely. You don't just stumble into it accidentally. There are a number of guidelines that allow a person to slip into flow. Some of them include, keeping in mind my example for when I go for a run. Number one, having clear and deliberate goals. My stamina must improve so I can run away from danger. Number two, task must provide clear and immediate feedback. So the speed of my stride, my legs are tired, but I've got some energy to push further than last week, so progress is made. That's my immediate feedback. The third point, striking a balance between the perceived level of challenge versus your own skill level for the task. The third point being especially important. This table illustrates it well. So too little personal skill and the perceived level of difficulty being too low, then apathy or lack of interest that will appear. Too low in skill and high in difficulty, then anxiety appears. Feel free to pause the video and examine the chart if you're really interested. But in my case for running, my perceived level of skill is pretty high due to my Kenyan ancestry. They were racing ostriches back in the day, actually probably running away from them. And the perceived personal challenge, the level of difficulty, is pretty high because I went through a bit of a partying phase. So those combined allow me to enter a lovely euphoric state of flow. It has been said we are often our happiest when we are in flow, described as a type of high. And from a neurochemical point of view, the difference between entering a state of flow and entering a high by other means, the differences are very few. This is because our brain can only process a limited amount of information. When we are truly focused, we simply don't have enough space in our brain to process the external constant stimuli. Even the part of that brain that keeps track of time, keeps track of bodily functions, like I need a pee, or that inner speech, you know, that inner voice you have in your head, that is dimmed, quieter. I like this idea of flow, that being the essence, can be described as the removal of the interference of the thinking mind, where things happen automatically. If you're a football fan, you remember this. Boom! He was not thinking about this. Being in flow isn't only good for the moment you're experiencing it. It's known to create a long-lasting, overall better well-being. You feel satisfied and happy after a long day of working. When you lay your head down to go to bed, it'll feel like you earned it. If you think about it, you're constantly conquering challenges. Challenges that are meaningful to you. Challenges that you kind of enjoy. There's a handful of good ways to spend your day. This is certainly one of them. Just to note, I know I've been talking a lot of good things about entering flow, but this should not be substituted for the mundane or the boring everyday activities, because sometimes you got to get things done. You have to do the boring work. I've mentioned this before. If it's beneficial, it will tend to keep you uncomfortable. Habitually doing work that explores your limits is a consistent way to make progress. If you're an aspiring musician, for example, it's still better to practice every single day learn from the mistakes. You've got that immediate feedback if you hit a wrong note, and it allows you to learn new things. Even if you don't enter that magical state of flow, it still needs to be done for you to make progress. To enter this flow state, it does require us to have meaning in the work we're doing. Ask yourselves, what are your motives? Would you regard yourself as intrinsically motivated? For example, you're doing the work because you enjoy doing the work. Does it give you a feeling of purpose? Or is it extrinsically motivated, i.e. appreciation, clout? No shaming being motivated by money, for example. But ask yourself, do you feel good about the work? If the answer is yes, then the likelihood of entering that beautiful state of flow increases. To summarize, we know that being in flow is an incredible feat. It's a special recipe that requires a number of ingredients. So higher degree of difficulty, high personal skill, and 3 other things that are incredibly important: practice, persistence, and complete and utter focus in the present moment. The best example tends to be with athletes. I'm talking the elite level athletes. When Michael Jordan does a behind the back pass, he's not thinking about that. That's because he's practiced a lot. Very persistent with being the best. When you're looking at Formula 1 drivers like Michael Schumacher, Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, they are completely focused in that moment. They have to be. They're driving 190 miles an hour. Any mistake, they're dead. It comes from practice. It comes from persistence. So I can say it comes down to mindfulness.
Boo. Boo. Boo.
What?
Ugh, there he goes again with the mindfulness meditation crap.
What?
Change the channel, you blithering baboon.
Anyway, meditation, I've mentioned this before, helps your mind if it drifts off, and it allows you to bring it back to the present moment. And in the long run, it will help with managing with distractions. I'll just say this, there's so much value in spending time doing those activities that make you forget about the passage of time. So aim to achieve this at least once a day.